Mr. Raghav Gupta. He'll be taking the stage and talking about how India's top universities can solve the crisis in higher education. He's the director of India and Asia Pacific from Coursera.
I had the opportunity to speak to a few people outside before the event started, and I know a number of you know Coursera, some of you may not necessarily know Coursera. So before I jump in, can I just ask for a show of hands that if you know Coursera and if you've been on our platform, you know what we do. If you could please put your hands up, just to get a sense of the room. So maybe about 1/3 of you know Coursera. Okay, so maybe I should introduce what Coursera does a little bit as well, and then I'll jump into this fairly ambitious topic about how India's top universities can solve the crisis in higher education. I'll talk a little bit about what Coursera does briefly later as well. Coursera is the world's largest online education platform. Started about 7 years ago. Started about 7 years ago by two Stanford University professors. Today there are 40 million people who are learning on our platform, 4 crore people. And a very large number of these are in India. About 4 million people are in India. So I'll share a little bit about how we think education is evolving in India as well as globally. And you know, the topic here, when my colleague Manish and I were kind of putting this presentation together, we wanted to be a little bit bold to say, is there genuinely a crisis in higher education in India? And I say this as the parent of a child who is in class 12. When he thinks about his higher education admissions, when I think about his higher education admissions, I think there's genuinely a crisis in higher education in India because it's scary. Where will he get admission? Where will he not get admission? And also as somebody who's worked as a business professional for the last 20 years, most of which has been in India, when I think about hiring for my own company and the kind of talent that we usually are able to get, I think there is a crisis in higher education in India. And I think that crisis is well known as well. So I'm going to spend very little time talking about what this crisis is, maybe 1 minute or two, and spend most of the time talking about the other part, which is what is potentially a solution. I'll caveat this, Coursera is not the only solution, but I think Coursera can be, or some of what Coursera is doing can be one element of a very powerful solution. We work with a lot of companies. We work with close to 2,000 companies around the world, and these companies are getting their employees to learn on the Coursera platform. And we hear these 3 comments consistently from business leaders. We hear this in India, we hear this outside India also. Business leaders say we spend 6 months training freshers, which is I think well known. But importantly, business leaders also say that digital business models are taking over our industry. Right? Banking, all of us used to go to a branch, then we started going to ATMs, now we go to our phone, right? So a number of industries are undergoing digital transformation. And the third thing that we hear is we can't hire enough data scientists. There's lots of data being created, people need to collect that data, analyze that data, draw business insight. We're not being able to hire these people. And we don't have people who have enough fluency in emerging technologies. And this is good input for the higher education community in India, because this is where a lot of students will go and work. So this is some good insight for us to start at. And so this crisis, in my point of view, has 2 parts. I think the first part is fairly well understood. Gross enrollment ratios are low and employability is questionable, although this is a debatable point. But my sense is that the second part of this crisis may not necessarily be fully understood in this room, which is that 52% of India's jobs are going to get impacted by automation. This is a report by World Economic Forum, McKinsey, and so on and so forth. These jobs will not necessarily go away, but the nature of these jobs will definitely change in terms of the kind of skills that people need to have. And the number of people who are coming into the workforce in the next 10 years is massive, right? We have a large country. There are going to be as many as 100 million people who are going to come into the workforce. And so the question is that for the left side as well as the right side of this crisis, what can we do? What are we already doing? And let me share with you a little bit of what Coursera has been doing so far. We are a global learning platform. If you look at so we think about ourselves as a platform that has 3 pillars. The top is the learner. These people come to us because they want to learn and because they want to prosper, they want to do well in their careers. There are 40 million learners globally, 4 crore, it's a large number of learners. This number is growing quite rapidly. 4 million in India, so about 40 lakh learners in India. Of these 40 lakh learners in India, 5 lakh are students, students in your universities, your colleges who are coming to Coursera and in their own personal capacity learning on our platform. The second pillar is educators, and there are 160 of the world's leading universities and 30 companies who are teaching on our platform. They want to teach on our platform because they want to teach the world. And Andrew Ng, who's a Coursera co-founder, his course on machine learning from Stanford University has been taken by 2 million people. Learning How to Learn is another course which is by 2 neuroscience professors from University of San Diego, which tells us how as human beings we learn. That course has been taken by over 2 million people. So when I say teach at scale, it's a massive scale that we are talking about. And then 3 years ago, we launched what we call Coursera for Enterprise. So we work with businesses, we work with governments, and now increasingly work with universities to say, how do we take some of this excellent content which is on our platform to come to these institutions, enterprises, to be able to deliver high quality learning at scale. And so the mission that we are on, right, we are a small company. The mission that we are on is how do we take the best education in the world to everyone in the world. That's what we are after. We are a group of 350 people, not a very large company that reaches out to 40 million people around the world. We have offices in the Silicon Valley, in London, and in Gurgaon, which is where I am based. And that's what we are really working on. The way we are doing this so far is we are partnering with these universities. So amazing names, Stanford, Yale, Columbia, Duke, Imperial College London, University of London, ISB in India, and so on. And also increasingly, and I think this point was mentioned earlier in the panel discussion as well, that leading technology companies, leading companies in the industry also need to play a role in education because technology is changing so fast. So companies like Google, companies like Amazon, companies like IBM are also now teaching on the Coursera platform. And so 160 universities and 30 companies teach on the Coursera platform. And what they teach is content across 11 domains. So business, data science, technology, cloud, personal development, maths and logic, physical sciences, life sciences as well, which we launched earlier this year, is what we are teaching on the Coursera platform. 3,300 courses across these 11 domains with lots of new addition happening because, either a course needs to be updated or there's a new course that needs to come. And earlier this year, we launched a course on blockchain from one of the world's best business schools, which is INSEAD. And so a business school is now also getting into technical topics because if INSEAD graduates are going to go and work in a bank, they need to know what blockchain is. And so that's what we are working on. Now, this might be interesting for all of you. The way learning is structured on the Coursera platform is not free MOOCs only. The perception that some of you may have in the room is that a massive open online course which is free is only the learning that happens on a platform like this. There are 3,200 courses which are MOOCs. Some of these are free, a lot of these are paid courses, but at very reasonable costs of 3,000, 4,000, 5,000 rupees. These stack up into what we call specialization. So if I'm somebody who's studying, to be a data scientist, I can go to Johns Hopkins University on Coursera, take a 6-course specialization and get ready to be a data scientist, and then probably go and land a job at Amazon in Bangalore. And that's what we call a specialization. And now what we also have, interestingly, is what we call master tracks, professional certificates, and degrees. And we are able to actually take a full degree and take it online, and not just from any college, any university, but from some of the world's best universities. And that's what we think is what is stackable education. As an individual, I don't necessarily want to commit to a 4-year degree. I may want to say, let me try a part of this. If I like it, maybe I will go and take all of it. And so some of these degrees on our platform are from universities like Illinois, like HEC Paris, which is a leading business school in Europe, Michigan University, University of London, and University of Pennsylvania. And as an example, what we are working on, and this is just an example, I may be an engineer of computer science from VIT. I may be working at Infosys for the last 5 years. And now I may say to progress my career, I want to do a master's in computer science. But I don't want to leave my job. And such an individual can come to Coursera and actually apply to the master's in computer science and IT from UPenn. And if he gets in, he takes 2 years, learns online, continues to work at Infosys, and instead of spending $100,000, 75 lakh rupees, can do this in $20,000 or 14 lakh rupees. So we are starting to do this in computer science. We are starting to do this in data science, in management, MBA, in public health. These are the domains that we've currently launched 14 degrees. We've also launched a bachelor's program, right? It's not with the intent of competing with universities, but there are lots of applicants from India who are wanting to do bachelor's in computer science from University of London on Coursera. And please don't ask me if the government of India recognizes it or not. I don't know, but I know the job market recognizes it. So that's what we are working on. I think a question that I've asked a lot of people in the academic space that we work with is businesses are undergoing digital transformation. What about your digital transformation? Investing in IT is not digital transformation. Investing in learning which is high quality is the core of what you do, and is there digital transformation happening there? Because technology is now allowing you to bring the world's best faculty member, Andrew Ng, who's sitting in the Silicon Valley, to be able to teach students in Chennai, in Madurai, in Coimbatore, and so on and so forth. And are we leveraging that technology and supplementing it with what's being taught in the class? The other thing that we believe in at Coursera is this education needs to be job ready, and jobs are changing, like I said at the start. What I mean by that is we are going to a lot of universities and saying to them that you may be teaching some of these skills, and I'll read these out because these are not visible in the back. But as an example, you may be teaching a functional skill, Python, because it allows people to go and then later become data scientists. Or you may be teaching soft skills like problem solving, which businesses need, you need when you go and work in a career. But increasingly what jobs need students to know is not just topics like Python, but also artificial intelligence, right? I may be doing an MBA from a university or a college here in Chennai, and I may want to go and work in banking. So I may be learning financial management. But now the bank needs me to know blockchain for financial services also. And is that something that we are kind of doing? Not just as a, as a quick but not so high quality job, but as a high quality job. And similarly, problem solving is a great skill to have, but in a data-driven world, as a student, am I getting to learn data-driven problem solving? And that's becoming increasingly important. And what we are doing when we go and work with universities is we are saying we can bring content which can help you supplement what you're teaching as skills of today, which is the example on financial management, which is a great course from Illinois. But we can also bring blockchain from INSEAD, which is taught by Dan Tapscott, who is one of the world's leading authorities on the topic of blockchain. And so if your student goes and wants to work at DBS Bank in Singapore, you have equipped him as a combination of what you've taught in class and what you've taught on, let's say, a platform like Coursera to then go and get a very, very high quality start to their career. And so what we did last year as a part of some of the background I've shared is we launched what we call Coursera for Universities. Like I was mentioning earlier, 5 lakh students in colleges and universities are already on our platform in their personal capacity. A lot of them don't want to spend money, so they are taking the audit version of our course, which is, go and see a few free videos, get to learn, but they don't necessarily get a certificate at the end of it. And it's not something that you can scale, right? 5 lakh students from 40,000 colleges in India is not a very large number per college. So what we did was we said, we want to be able to work with universities to say, we can bring this platform and work collaboratively with you. Your students are already coming to our platform, but universities can have a role to play in this learning as well, to guide the students to determine where the learning is happening, and to also see who's performing well, who's not performing well, where can we support them, and so on and so forth. So this is an enterprise-grade platform. And what we do as a part of this is we say to students, you can take either learning which is for credit, blended in the classroom or standalone, or you can take learning which is not for credit, because as an engineering student, you may want to learn stuff which is not being taught in the curriculum, right? I had the opportunity to learn in India as well as in outside India. And the fact that when you get to learn topics which are outside of what your curriculum is, it really opens the mind, right? I went to an MBA school, and the most popular class in the MBA school was a negotiation class, right? It was not a finance class, it was not an accounting class, marketing class, but negotiation skills was the most popular class. So we are doing this blended learning at either in class or outside class as well. We are doing multidisciplinary learning, learn topics that are not being taught in the curriculum. Very importantly, we're taking this to faculty as well, right? All of you have challenges around high quality faculty in India. So the more advanced topics on the Coursera platform is what faculty is taking. And then the benefit for universities is obvious. We can help strengthen the quality of what is being taught in the classroom. Don't think of this as a tech investment. Don't think of this as an IT investment, because that's not what it is. It is an investment in the core of what the educational institutions do, which is teach. And that's what we are able to do as a part of this. And I'm very happy to say this is all not just talk, because talking is very easy. Last year we went to Manipal, right? We said let's try this as an experiment with Manipal in India. We also did an experiment with another university in Europe and another university in the US. And we said, let's see what happens if we launch the Coursera platform in partnership with you for your students and faculty. Dr. Bhatt, I think, is a visionary. He said, yes, let's do this. We launched a program for multidisciplinary learning for all the students, not all the students, 20,000 students across a couple of campuses. And here's what we found. 20,000 students joined the Coursera platform. They signed up for almost 70,000 courses. These were not mandatory. These were optional for them to take. These were not mandatory. I repeat myself there. They consumed close to 200,000 hours of learning, and 70 of these courses were included for credit as well. So only the for credit piece was, the mandatory piece, so to say. So about 1,000 of these students spent time on what would be mandatory learning. But the others just loved it, right? The fact that you can actually go and learn from some of the best faculty in the world makes for a great learning experience, and you start enjoying that learning, right? It's not because you want to mark your attendance in class and clear an assessment. I don't think students want to learn for assessments. That's completely the wrong way to look at it. Students should learn because they enjoy it. It gets them ready for careers, and they feel confident that they can go out into the job market and do a good job. I met one of these students last year. I was at Manipal, and he said to me, I took this course on Coursera called Excel Skills for Business, which is from Macquarie University. And I took a bunch of other courses as well. This was, I think, a third-year student going into fourth year. I went and interned for summer internship at a consumer goods company in Bangalore, and the team that I was interning with, they had lots of data because, it's a consumer goods company. They're capturing lots and lots of data. A lot of that data was actually on Excel, and it was messy, heavy Excel, lots of data but no insight. So I said to my manager, do you mind if I create a few dashboards on your Excel? And he created these dashboards which made it so easy for them to start drawing insights because he'd learned those skills on Excel for Business on the Macquarie course. They loved it. They gave him a pre-placement offer. So he was so happy. He was like, I'm spending four years here at Manipal. I'm also getting to learn on Coursera, and it's helping me get a fantastic job, and I'm feeling very happy going into the job market. So we'd love to do this with a lot more universities, which is why Coursera is here today. Your students are already coming to our platform, but we'd love to participate with a lot more of you. We think the future of education is happening now. It's not 5 years from today. It's not 10 years from today. Coursera is definitely not working on humanoids that can come over and take over teachers in the classroom. I can assure you that. We want to get better at what we are doing. We will launch lots and lots more online degrees, and we want to make partnerships happen with a lot of universities in India, not just for consuming content, but also for creating content. The IITs, the IIMs, the BITS, and so on, they're such great universities in India. The world should get to see what they are teaching, and that's what we are after. Thank you.